If you're looking for a simple and effective manifestation technique that you can use to manifest the things that you want into your reality, you're gonna love this one. One of the best things about this manifestation technique is it doesn't take up any extra time in your day. So if you're a busy person, if you even struggle to stick to a morning routine and things like that, I got you. Or actually, I should say, Neville Goddard has got you. For those of you who haven't heard of Neville Goddard, he is one of the OGs when it comes to manifestation, and he in particular teaches a lot about the law of assumption, which in a nutshell is about assuming the feelings that you would feel when it's manifested, assuming them now, feeling them now, living in the wish fulfills, living in the end, meaning that up here in your mind, in your imagination, you're spending time there. You're not thinking about it from a point of view where you don't have it and you're feeling wishful and hopeful about it. You're assuming that it's possible for someone like you. You're assuming that it's already done. Sometimes people find this very challenging because they're constantly being reminded of where they actually currently are right now. But what I'm going to share with you in this video is such a small, simple thing that anyone can do. And even if you can't be deluding yourself and living in your imagination all day long, I know that you can do this. So the special thing about this manifestation technique is the time of day in which you do it. Neville Goddard talked a lot about how the thoughts that you think as you drift off to sleep are the most important thoughts that you think about. As our mind drifts from waking to sleeping, it goes through different brain waves, and just before we fall asleep completely, the subconscious mind is much more open, absorbent, shall we say, more susceptible to things entering it and staying there more easily. Some people refer to this thing called SATS, which stands for state akin to sleep. So that's referring to that state of mind where you're drifting. You're still just about conscious. You haven't fully fallen asleep yet. Technically, at any time of day, you could sit down for a meditation and become extremely relaxed and create this state of mind. But for busy people, you're already doing it once a day when you have your head laying on the pillow and just as you are falling to sleep. That's already a time of day where you're entering that brain state. So according to Neville Goddard, you may as well leverage it. And for those of you who want to do a bit more research into Neville Goddard and his teachings, he has so many mind-blowing stories of how he has used this technique to change his reality against all odds. There is one story of how Neville Goddard was conscripted to fight in the army. And he really didn't want to. He had his wife, he had his baby daughter. So when he was at the military training camp, even though this was compulsory military service, and normally people would imagine that there's no way out of this, every night as he drifted off to sleep in the military camp, he imagined that actually his body was lying in his bed at home. And he imagined being able to sense the presence of his wife's body next to him. And in his imagination, he scanned his surroundings and he felt as if he was actually in his bedroom at home and not in the dorm in the military camp. He did this every single night. And just 9 days later, he was called into the office and they gave him a letter of dismissal saying that he could go home. This is just one of many, many stories that Neville Goddard shared with his students. I don't understand why it works, to be quite honest. I didn't realize just how much power over our reality we have, or I should say, how much power our subconscious mind can have over which reality we select. You know, this concept of how there's an infinite number of parallel universes? To me, this technique feels like as you drift off to sleep, you choose the reality that you want to wake up in. This powerful manifestation technique can support you in choosing the reality that you want to be living in. It's mind-bending stuff. I've played around with this technique myself and had success with it as well. For example, this microphone that I'm using to record this video with right now completely died. It normally has a blue light on it. There was no blue light. My computer wasn't picking it up. It wasn't working for about 1 month. Then I actually went to a meet and greet of another YouTuber, a guy called Joshua Tongol. Some of you may follow him. He's awesome. He talks all the time about Neville Goddard and the law of assumption, so you may want to check out his channel. And at the meet and greet, he reminded me of this technique. And so when I got home that evening after meeting with Josh, I thought to myself, why don't I put this technique to use again? So I turned out the light, I lay my head on the pillow that night, and as I drifted off to sleep, I pictured a very short and simple scene in my imagination. I pictured myself waking up the next morning, plugging in this microphone, and the blue light turning on, signifying that my microphone works again. And I felt the emotion, I felt the relief, I felt the joy, I felt the exhilaration and the excitement of the fact that it's fixed, I've got it to work, life is now easier. Happy days. Very, very short and simple. And I just pictured it over and over and over and over again. And eventually I fell asleep. The next morning I woke up and of course I went to plug in my microphone. Actually, when I first plugged it in, it still didn't work. I got a little bit disheartened, but then I had an idea and I thought to myself, I wonder if instead of plugging it into the right-hand side of my computer, I plug it in to the left-hand side of my computer. And by the way, I tried that before and it hadn't worked. I tried everything before and it hadn't worked. But the idea popped into my head, so I thought, let me try it one last time. I plugged it in to the left-hand side of my computer and I saw the blue light turn on. I hadn't seen that blue light turn on for a whole month. And here we are today, the microphone's back up and running. I wasn't putting so much pressure on it manifesting as we sometimes do with some of our life dreams and goals. And I think that the more pressure and desperation and lack and all of those sort of intense low vibrational feelings, the more of those intense feelings we have, sometimes the harder it is. So if you're inspired by these stories, I would encourage you to playfully experiment with this technique. Play around with something small. Ask yourself, what would be a small thing that would be really cool if it could happen for you? Maybe you could play around with visualizing yourself receiving a specific sign from the universe, or manifesting a free coffee from a cafe, or manifesting a really handsome stranger smiling at you, finding the perfect piece of clothing for you. Just something that's kind of fun, not massive, but also still epic. Start there. Play around with something like that just to kind of test this technique out for yourself, and then you can always try it with more and more things moving forwards. I know people who've done this and manifested more money, manifested houses, manifesting passing exams. In fact, I have created a number of guided meditations designed to support you as you drift off to sleep, to keep focusing on your imagined scene. I will link a playlist of my Neville Goddard SATS meditation videos down below if you want a guided meditation to give you a helping hand through the process. And with a lot of them, especially the ones that have had the most views, check out the comments. The number of wild manifestation success stories that live in the comment section of those videos will give you even more confidence that this can work for you. At the end of the day, so much of manifestation comes down to our subconscious mind. This technique is a prime example of how when we get our subconscious mind to work for us, not against us, amazing amazing things can happen. Since so much of manifestation is a subconscious game, the more that we can become aware of what we might have in our subconscious programming that might be blocking or limiting us, we can then clear it and release it, the better, all the better. Over the last few years, I've come across some incredibly effective techniques that can help you to identify what may be blocking you subconsciously and releasing it for good and imprinting new, empowered, positive beliefs in their place. I've compiled them all together into something that I call the Alignment Workshop, and currently it's available for you to access in the description and comment section of this video. When you click on the link, you'll see not only will you get access to the exact processes that I have used to release subconscious blocks from my mind, but you also get a stack of additional bonuses to support you on your journey too. So if you feel like you want to get your subconscious mind working for you, not against you, click the link below to check it out. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring my bell so that you never miss another video. Until next time, bye!